This meeting of the Public Amenities Commission for June 10th, 2026 to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
Commissioner Youssef Zai.
Here.
Commissioner Lang.
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Commissioner Galassi.
Here.
Chair Morocco.
Here. And now can we get a salute to the flag, which Commissioner Rowe will lead us in? And if you can all please stand.
All right, let's begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approving the order of the agenda. Is there anybody who wishes to pull or move anything on that? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go in the order we have. I believe we have two blue folder items, and if you can introduce them so we can receive and file them.
That is correct. In relation to L4, we have the Riviera Village Summer Festival Historic Preservation handout. And in relation to L5, we have the Alta Vista Pickleball Courts reservation feedback.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to receive and file the blue folder items?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any public comment on that? Okay.
No public comment.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say no. Okay, so it's received and filed. Now we move on to the consent calendar, and that's item F. There's 4 items. Approving the affidavit of posting for Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission meeting of June 10th. F2 is approve Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission meetings of May 13th, 2026. F3 is receive and file the library director's report, and F4 is to receive and file updates from the Community Services Department related to historical parks and recs activities, and F5 is to receive and file certified local government annual reports for 2023 and 2024 to 2025. Is there any commissioner that wishes to pull an item?
Can I pull F5?
Yes, you can. Anybody else?
I was going to ask for that one as well.
Okay, great, because I was going to do the same. Any members of the public wish to speak on any of the consent calendar items? Okay, great.
No public comment.
Okay, so we're going to start by, can I get a motion to approve items F1 through F4 of the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we asked for public comment, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say no. Okay, so those items are marked off as being passed. Now we go on to the excluded consent calendar items, receive and file certified local government annual reports for 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025. You should have in your packet that, and I'll turn it over to you in a second, Commissioner Lang, but I did want you to know that what's in your pack is not the complete report. There are minutes from our meetings as well as resumes from persons on this commission. And I've given to our liaison copies of the resumes that, except for Commissioner Youssef, who are handed directly, copies of what's in there. And so when we do the next report, this gives you an opportunity to look at the information that's out there in the state report. So if whenever you want to pass it out to the people, that's great. You wanted this one pulled.
Yes. So there's just like so much. I think I'm kind of not sure where to start. So in one of these annual reports, it said that that we needed to have training every single year. And I did not know that. So I'm wondering, and it said that the last time that training was offered was in 2024 to Preservation Commission, but it hasn't been offered since then. So it hasn't been offered to this new commission. So there may have been only a couple of people on this commission that have received.
So there are 2 reports being there. There's 2 years. So the last year's report is complete. The one from before, the year before you got on this commission, which should have only included Commissioner Galassi and Commissioner Caldwell, there they are. We had training while Stacy Kinsella was here, and I didn't see it on this one, but I thought we had a second one with Mark Weiner doing it probably about August of 2025.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a requirement.
Right, okay, I understand that now. I do think that the sort of guidance in terms of preservation on this commission has felt a little lacking. And I would like there to be more of discussion about how we can make sure that we're all sort of like I need to take a training, which is something that I realized in reading this report, but I didn't realize that until I read it, which in my mind is like a big deal because it means that I haven't completed what I need to complete the training in order to sit here and speak on these matters. So I guess like, I'm not really sure what I'm asking, but what the point that I want to make is I think that, you know, kind of, we've been doing this for a few months now, and I can really see that preservation especially is something that needs more focus. And because we don't have someone like a staff liaison speaking on it, I think it kind of just goes by the wayside until something comes up, and by that time it's, you know, we're a little behind, so.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons I asked our liaison to put this in here so you can see what's going on. I mean, it's out there if you wanted to find it, but they didn't do it last year, so you didn't have it for this year.
That would have been helpful, yeah.
It would have been helpful. They decided not to do it. This report primarily deals with having grant funds available. That's really the benefit that comes out of it. The city made a commitment, and I think Commissioner Caldwell can probably speak more since he's been on this commission a lot longer, and he was a former chair when they had a little bit more of a commitment from planning staff in support of it. But it is a way that we qualify for grants. I was looking at it and it's like, well, I didn't realize we had so many historic landmarks approved. But yeah, you should, and if you want to talk offline about how to pick up some additional classes, I'm happy to fill you in on it. But it doesn't mean that you're not qualified to do it. You qualified to be on this commission because of your architectural background. And you also have that Parks and Rec stuff. So don't think of it as something, it's just an interesting area to learn stuff about.
Right, I think, I know that I'm qualified because I interviewed for it and I was appointed, but the additional training is something that I didn't know that we needed. And I think that just speaks to kind of like a lack of kind of communication or support, I think. Yeah.
Well, we do now have somebody whose area, he's called the CLG coordinator, it's a CLG program. So hopefully you'll be hearing more from him. You're conveying your thoughts to our liaison, so he should be able to convey it back to the community development department. And so hopefully that'll improve. This report goes through September 30th, so there's still the whole summer that you can take some of the classes on it if you want to.
Yeah, great.
And if you think we need to have the group training again, we could make the request to our liaison and have him convey back to them that we want before September 30th to actually have another group-wide training.
Okay.
I think you wanted to pull too.
Yeah, no, that was a good point that Commissioner Lang made, and I looked these two reports over, because we had another one even prior to these, so I kind of knew what I was looking at a little bit. And I hear what you're saying as far as the training. Officially, we received an hour overview, and it's
Oh,
an hours-long overview. It's listed on page 6 of the 2024-25 documents. So if you scroll down to page 6, you'll see that we all received 1 hour worth of overview in the preservation program. However, Chair Morocco, of his own will, has taken a number of really, really valuable classes. And actually, as I was researching some information for our booth that we're going to be having at the end of the month, I stumbled upon one of the classes that he actually took. And I think that these particular classes, it would be good if we could anticipate something that would come up that would make sense for all of us to do ahead of time. And it could be voluntary, or it could be as part of our official training. If we didn't want to do, again, that 1 hour training, we could maybe use these classes in lieu of that. So that's that point. And let's see. We don't have our staff member here, but my question was, in the 2023-24 document, it references the historical context statement, which is vastly outdated. That really needs a whole overhaul, and I just would like to put that somewhere on our to-do list, if that could be a referral for us to undertake that. I'm curious about the preservation documents and video that are available at the library. I never knew about that. I would like to see what that video is, the preservation video. On the document, I think page 9 of the 2023-24 document, page 9, let me just double check that. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Pardon me, 1 second. 1 second. Oh, yeah. So it is, yeah, it's page 9. So at the top of
Page 37 in the lower right-hand corner for people following along. In the lower right-hand corner.
lower right-hand corner. I'm not seeing a page 37, sorry, Chair.
Never mind.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
looking at one that actually has numbers on the corner.
Okay, yeah, these pages have numbers, but
The packet.
they're straight in the middle.
in the packet.
If you open up the document itself. Anyway, so it's the 2023-24 annual report, and it appears that out of the 4 properties, only 2 were listed here under the Mills Act, and I think they may have gotten cut off. So I think that's something that, I don't know if has this been sent in, do you know, Chair?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to note that. Looks like they were cut off. And on the 2024-25 document, excuse me, Commissioner Yousafzai is listed as a teacher. Is that correct?
I literally just saw that, and I'm trying not to chuckle.
Okay.
I think they have a few things wrong on this document.
I'm definitely not a teacher.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I just wanted to.
I passed out to Mr. Commissioner Yousafzai what's on his little resume. I haven't passed. There's a copy for Commissioner Rowe and Commissioner Lang and Commissioner Caldwell, so they can see that as well.
Okay. So there's that. I was impressed with Chair Morocco's classes that he took, and hope to step up to the plate and take some myself. There was a class that I had sent a link to Mark and John, that maybe we could get a copy of the video. The class has already passed. It's called Local Government Boot Camp, Rethinking Community Engagement, which is very timely since Commissioner Rowe and myself are working on this community engagement at the end of the month. So it would be good to take that class. And then apparently there's a book, a printing date of 2009. That's a photographic collection of landmark properties. I don't know if that's something that could also be worked on so that we can include all of the other homes that have been landmarked in them as well.
That photo book is in the library to start with, and go to the reference desk. It's also something that they have on file in the planning department, but the library is probably the easiest one to get to. It's right behind the reference desk.
Yeah. So it's 2009, so.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
pretty
it's a
old.
little-
They took pictures
We've
of all
landmarked
the.
a few homes since then.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that, and I do apologize for you coming in as a teacher, but there are some issues that at least they're getting back on track. And if you had the complete report, you'll see the 2023-24 report is incomplete because we never approved minutes for you guys before we formed. So it never got brought up to us. So there were some issues with that as well. And if you're interested, there are some good graduate education classes. You can get a master's degree online. University of Kentucky is one of the better ones. I think Arizona has one as well. They can be pricey, but if you're into it, it's a good thing to do. One of the previous chairs actually did the one at SC for preservation. And then he ended up getting really involved in everything. Okay.
Thank you. That's all, Chair.
Okay. And again, look it over. I'm glad that we finally got the 23-24 one filed because that's one I've been bugging at the meetings about, and you can find it in the August stuff. It also gives you an opportunity, if you can get the planning department to give you the bios of the people and the staff that are actually involved in the preservation, which is really helpful as well to get an understanding of them. So I wanted this to be in front of you. It's in front of you. If there are any other questions?
Well, I don't know if this is kind of like the appropriate place to talk about it, but like these videos or the document from 2009, is all this stuff online? Like, I feel like maybe we need a better online presence in terms of preservation webpage for the city where all this stuff can live and kind of be at your fingertips for anyone interested in pursuing a historical designation.
And that's one of the reasons we have the education subcommittee. So you can talk to one of the people on it and see about getting them to talk to. You can talk to Mark himself if you want to, or you can talk to the mayor and get him to talk to Mark if that's more comfortable. But yes.
Okay.
And most of the stuff is out of date, and they're still trying to adopt a new ordinance and things that go along with that. Context statements, and we'll be talking about a context statement tonight. Can be rather costly, and the city seems to have a reluctance to spending that kind of money.
Right.
But on the other hand, because we got our reports in, we are eligible for grants. I don't know where they are in the cycle, but we are eligible for certain grants from the state.
Chair, may I add one thing? Just to respond to Commissioner Lang's. So the city actually is updating the preservation portion on the website. So they are working on that now. But the 2009 is a book.
Oh, okay.
It's a book. Yeah. But the other things, yes, you're right. We need to have some more information on there. So they are working on it. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. There's resources. If you want, we can talk offline about that as well, because I don't think I've talked to anybody else on this commission about it. Okay, so any other questions, any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay. Can I get a motion to receive and file these annual reports?
I'll make a motion to receive and file the
Thank you.
certified local government annual report.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Rowe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we have now received and filed it, and we've moved away from the excluded consent calendar. We're now on public participation on non-agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on the this agenda for action. The section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under this section. And I just learned yesterday that they're changing the rules on that. So starting July 1, so we may get something handed down. Hopefully they'll send it to you before our June meeting. So are there any cards?
I haven't received any cards for public comment.
Okay. Anybody in the public would like to do public participation on non-agenda items?
Just more or less information, not pertaining specifically to this commission. My name's Steve Haig, 35-year resident in North Redondo, +5 in South. 5/12 this year, city council meeting. Pretty saddened to see council members not only be dishonest, including a commission person from the Arts Commission, come up here and be dishonest. Both were factually lies, and you have the videos to show that. And I'm referring to the sculpture that folks want to put out in front of the North Branch Library. There was no public participation. Last I checked, this is the year 2026, and if you travel, you eat many things, you get surveys. I don't know, we may get 5 or 10 a day. I'm assuming everybody gets surveys. The year 2026, we can't figure out, the city cannot figure out how to execute a simple survey. That's mind-boggling. I believe you mentioned public interaction. City council sure could use it. Everybody but Scott and 5 voted to have that sculpture without zero public participation. I find that rather disgusting. What are we here for? What are you here for? You want our honesty, we want your honesty. And I think you guys have been straightforward, but Arts Commission and council members, that subject has been wiggled around, I know of, for a year. The subject matter on Artesia, we're going on 11 years. And we can't communicate with the public. After 35 years as a resident here, I'm ashamed that I have to listen to a commission member, Ms. Kelly, come up here and tell council there was public participation.
Okay, we are the Public Amenities Commission.
I know who you
We're not
are.
the city council.
I know who you are, and
I know.
I'll be at every commission so everyone understands. I'm also aware that Zane spoke to you for a history of it for the city of Redondo Beach.
Okay.
And that's been going back and
So
forth. I
why
think I
don't-
have 1 minute and 32
Why
seconds,
don't
don't I?
you, well, yes, but if you're going to start talking about the history, you are speaking
No, I'm
about
not.
an agenda item.
I'm not. This is
Okay.
just open. But it's about communication and the public. Engage with us.
Okay, thank you.
I hope you can.
Okay, anybody else in the public wishes to speak? On a non-agenda item, anybody online?
No one online. I did receive one card. I'm unsure if she wants to talk about it. It looks like she wants to talk on item L2.
Okay, well, when we get to L2, they can come in on that. So if there's no other persons in the public wishing to speak, we are moving on from public participation to ex-parte communications. We have no public hearings, so we don't have to go through that. Items continued from previous agendas. We don't have any as far as I can tell.
No.
Okay. Now we move on to items for discussion prior to action. And we'll start with L1, which is the discussion and possible action of the 2026 Library Summer Reading Program. And if you want to introduce your staff person.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Lisa Winter, our Youth Services Librarian. She will go over our planned summer reading program and kick off upcoming. Thank you, Lisa.
Hello. Like you said, my name is Lisa Winter. I'm the Youth Services Librarian. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
You might want to raise it because you're.
Is it? How is this? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm thrilled to share our plans and goals for this year's summer reading program. You can go to the next slide. Just to give you a brief overview of what I'll be speaking about today, I'll cover our program, our goals, our planning process. I'll also dive into our carnival. I'll break down the program by age group, and I'll highlight some of our featured events, how we promote the program, and speak about our program support and funding. So this year we are hosting a 10-week program from Saturday, June 13th, all the way to August 22nd. The theme this year is Plant a Seed, Read, with a focus on libraries being a place where people can grow their ideas and nourish their minds. Thank you. This year we aim to encourage reading as an enjoyable activity, to foster a love of reading for all ages, to build meaningful connections, and help combat a loss of reading skills over the summer. We'd also like to increase our overall participation. This year we're aiming for 1,900 children participants, 450 teens, and about 400 adults. Thank you. To pull off this initiative of this scale, my team began planning early on in the year. Our efforts focused on budgetary planning, including our annual kickoff carnival and other programs, and curating desirable incentives. We also focused on designing our reading logs, securing new sponsors, and partnering with the schools to speak to students. Thank you. This year, we are partnering with the city to launch our program with a kickoff carnival and Juneteenth celebration in front of the main library this Saturday on June 13th. You are all invited. I hope to see you there. This event will serve as the first chance for the community to register. The city will have a booth with a Juneteenth-inspired art activity alongside exciting food vendors. We are fortunate to welcome back the return of several dedicated community departments, including the Redondo Beach Police Department, who will offer snow cones, the Redondo Beach Fire Department, who will be showcasing their fire truck, and finally, our amazing teen volunteers who help run games and activities that encourage family play and connection. Moving into our age-specific programs, we have the children's program that is designed for families with infants, toddlers, and elementary-aged children. Upon registration, children will receive a tote bag and reading log to track their reading in 20-minute increments. At 5 hours of milestones, they will receive prizes and a sponsor coupon. At the 24-hour mark, they'll complete their tracking sheet and earn a complimentary book and an invitation to our finale program. Notably, we listened to community feedback last year. Many families asked to repeat the challenge, and this year we listened and created an extra reading log, allowing participants to continue reading and earn complimentary books, as well as enter our opportunity drawing. For our teens in 6th through 12th grade, we have a program that allows them to track their reading in 30-minute increments. For every 10 hours read, they'll earn a prize of their choosing from a treasure chest of prizes, as well as a food coupon from our sponsors. We also have an adult program where adults fill out opportunity tickets for a chance to win weekly drawings of gift cards. On these tickets, they can share thoughts on books that they've read, movies that they've watched, or library programs that they've attended. As a special highlight, our adult librarian came up with the idea to offer native seeds to the first 100 registered adults. These were provided by the Friends of the Library, who are also generously offering a buy one, get one voucher for their bookstore. Our library's summer calendar is jam-packed, featuring guest story times from the fire and police department. We also have Lego clubs and craft activities. We are partnering with the South Bay Parkland Conservancy to offer an educational planting program for families. We'll also have a bubble party and a game day and much more. For teens, we have sticker making programs and several food programs, while adults can look forward to adult book clubs, poetry workshops, as well as an all-age book bedazzling event. Our summer wraps up with a science magic finale program for all children who complete their tracking sheet. This program blends magic tricks with learning the science behind the illusions. We chose this program because of its educational value and cross-age appeal. To ensure our best attempt to hit our registration goals, we are promoting the summer reading program across our social media pages, distributing flyers to the schools and displayed through our libraries, conducting outreach to the schools and summer programs, and promoting it through our library and city newsletters. In closing, I'd want to extend our library's profound gratitude to the Friends of the Library, whose support has been instrumental in the success of each year's program. Their generous funding sustains our entire summer reading program and helps us put books directly in the hands of our youth. Thank you. If anyone has any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
A lot. Congratulations. I'm exhausted already.
But I do hope to see you on Saturday if you guys are free, 12 to 3 at the main library.
Oh, thank you.
He'll sign up.
Yeah.
I love the native seed packets that you're going to give out to the
adults.
adult readers. Yeah, and I love the little connection there that you're it's kind of connecting a little bit to the farmers market. I don't know if that was intentional, but certainly appreciated.
Yeah, it lends itself well to that.
Yeah, it really does. Thank you.
Of course. Anyone else?
Anybody else?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Well
very
done.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, is there any public comment or questions?
No public comments or questions.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Okay, moving on, can we receive and file, can I motion to receive and file that summer reading program report?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, I will note for the record that Commissioner Caldwell stepped out, so he shouldn't be part of that vote. Okay. So moving on to item L2, discussion and possible action regarding the request of a stipend for research of the history of the LGBTQ community in Redondo Beach. Do you want me to kick it off? Do you want to kick it off?
No, that's fine if you do.
Okay, so we have received as a commission a request from the council to research and put together the history of the LGBTQ community in Redondo Beach. This first came up probably about 4 or 5 years ago to the Historical Commission. It ended up, nothing ended up actually coming out of it. It came up again in the September meeting right before this commission was formed, so it never actually got to be discussed. But recently, Councilman Obaji and the rest of the council voted that they want to have a historic statement. And this ties into what Commissioner Galassi was talking about as historical content statements. Originally, the project was to write to the sculpture, which I believe is your concern. However, I did go to that community engagement program, and one of the things that was discussed extensively was the Sacramento project dealing with doing an LGBT community historical context statement. They had done an African-American context statement first, then they decided to take on this issue. So what you have in your materials, and this kind of set the bar a lot higher for what we could be achieving rather than a single page that talks about a statute, which we have no idea what they're going to be proposing out of the public art, or the, I guess, the Cultural Arts Commission, what they're going to be proposing. But it actually, you can see, this is like a 360-page report in the materials. They do an extensive job. They look at the community, they discuss the backgrounds, they break it up into periods, they have a huge bibliography. They even have a historic, or at least I think they're working on a historic district where everybody congregated. And one of the things that came up, and I think it was probably that May 12th meeting also, was that one of the people in our community spoke to the council and discussed the history. And it's pretty extensive. So I think we need to set our standards higher than just a single page of writing to the sculpture. We have 75,000 stories in this city. Each individual in this community has a story to tell. Each individual has a contribution to the collective history of the city. We have discrete communities within the city that add to a collective history of it. So I think it's a worthy project for us to undertake, but we do need to discuss what kind of scope we want to do with the project. Do we want a 360-page report? Do we want to continue on with the writing to the sculpture kind of thing? Los Angeles has a context statement also, which is probably about 100 pages long. So Sacramento put everything to shame. They actually, one of the people that was leading in the sessions was actually the person who's the cultural connection for the Sacramento project. So we need to discuss the scope of the project. We need to discuss the funding of the project. And at the end of the day, we need to discuss what meaningful document or exhibit or something, how we display what we've put together with the project. So our responsibilities are limited really to making recommendations to the city council, because they're the ones who asked us to look into it. And I'll go through some of the things that I think we need to discuss. And then to the city manager, since he staffs these kind of things. So when we come time to actually voting on something, it's going to be this is our commission's recommendation to the city council and to the city manager. And I'll be working with our liaison if we do decide to go whatever route we go and drafting something up that we can present to them. So here are 8 things that I think we need to discuss. And I'm at the end of our discussion, I think we can mush it all together and then we can break it out. But the first thing is we need to get, I think, and I've talked to one of the speakers today, an initial stipend of $10,000 for research and writing and coordinating with an advisory team. I'm looking at this being privately funded through organizations and community groups and individuals. So $10,000 number seems kind of high, but it's really not. And since it's not going to come out of the budget or anything like that, that's what I'm looking for, the initial stipend of $10,000. Also, the authority from the city council to investigate and apply for grant money. As I said, the CLG does provide us with an opportunity to apply for grants. They're the ones who funded the Sacramento program. I believe they also have hands in a couple other cities that are doing it. But we need to, if we're going to do this and we want to do it in a large scope, consider not only the 10,000 stipend, but also raising more money because we want a larger scope of a project. The third thing is to authorize city staff to participate in the community advisory team and be a liaison to our commission and give us quarterly reports of the progress. I actually prefer, and I've mentioned this to our liaison, I prefer a research librarian because this is going to be involving research and they seem to be extremely good at that. And it'd be at the discretion of the library director if he wants to do it or doesn't. We don't have any power to say do it, but we would hope that the library would participate. Fourth thing is to authorize the formation of an advisory team for the purpose of furthering the project. And I'm going to introduce one of the speakers today who's really, I think, is a good resource on it. To be selected by that person, subject to pre-approval by our staff liaison. So we can have other people, and I think that's another thing we need from the council, permission to do that, but that would work with the staff liaison to approve who gets on the group or not. Have the our commission approve the scope of the project objectives, the end product, subject to council's further recommendation. So I think that's important to authorize the chair of this commission and or the Public Amenities Commission Subcommittee Chair to present an oral report and the approved recommendations to the council before our next meeting. So at least we can get some additional guidance from them before we invest heavily in doing something. And to recommend that the library director be the overall city staff coordinator and the library department be the overall responsible department. And I will look forward to your feedback on it. I think something like this actually involves history and preservation and all sorts of other community things needs to come, I think, out of the library. And then the last thing, we have Sarah Leinen, who's going to be coming to address us in a little bit. And she is an educator, researcher, and community advocate for over 2 decades. She teaches at El Camino and a couple other colleges, and she's got a bachelor's in political science. She has an English background as well. So I think we'd be in good, and she's done a lot of the research already for the history. So I'm going to be recommending after she speaks, and you'll have a chance to hear her, that she be the recipient of the initial stipend subject to a memo of understanding with the city that, again, will require the council's approval and recommendation. So everything I'm telling you right now is we're going to take this to the council as the next step if this is something that you want to participate and take. So I'm going to turn it over to, and by the way, before I turn it over, you should take a look at the stuff that Sacramento put together that's in your materials. It's actually, I didn't print all 300 plus pages of it, but it actually has some interesting things about how the process was developing. So Sarah, do you want to come speak to us and give us a little bit more about your background and how you envision this would happen?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hi. Good evening. My name is Sarah Betty Leinen. I'm the person that Chair Morocco referenced in that May meeting that discussed the LGBTQIA plus history in Redondo Beach, specifically in that Artesia corridor area. I've been a Redondo Beach resident for more than 15 years. I'm an educator, researcher, and community advocate with more than 2 decades of experience in higher education. I teach English and LGBTQ studies amongst other subjects at different colleges, particularly at El Camino, and where I've developed the Introduction to LGBTQ Studies course and the broader LGBTQIA plus programming at El Camino College. My academic background includes a minor in queer studies before the major was available, as well as graduate degrees in education and English with concentrations in composition, rhetoric, and constitutional civil liberties. And professionally, I've worked as the Student Affairs Assessment Analyst at CSU Dominguez Hills, where I designed and analyzed surveys, conducted interviews and focus groups, synthesized qualitative and quantitative data, and helped develop reports and strategic plans. Much of that work involved gathering information from multiple sources, identifying themes and patterns, and translating findings into clear, accessible, written, and visual reports for decision makers and the constituents at large. And outside of my academic work, I currently serve as a board member of the South Bay LGBTQ Center and previously served as its president. And I also founded the South Bay Pride Coalition, which brings together local organizations, community groups, businesses, elected officials, and volunteers to support LGBTQIA+ projects throughout the South Bay. And over the years, I have researched and documented aspects of local LGBTQIA+ history, including the history of the South Bay LGBTQ Center, South Bay Pride events, Redondo Beach issues, LGBTQIA gathering spaces in business, and broader developments. I have also reviewed the Sacramento's LGBTQ+ Historic Experience Project, which provides a useful model for documenting community history through archival research, oral histories, community engagement, and historical context reporting. And if approved by the city, I would envision a Redondo Beach project being informed by many of those same best practices, while also reflecting unique history and the character of our local community. Got some ideas, so let's talk about them. And because of my background in research, writing, assessment, community engagement, and local LGBTQIA+ history, I believe I am well positioned to help create a historically accurate, community-informed report and also subsequent projects that provide a meaningful foundation for preserving and sharing this important part of Redondo Beach's history. So any questions, and thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the Community Advisory Committee and what you anticipate that would entail?
Yes, so I was thinking along the same lines as you, as having a research librarian. They are a wealth of knowledge and skills. I was also thinking of one of the founders of the South Bay LGBTQ Center. She just like last year, I believe, turned 80 and is just walking, living history. I was also thinking if Mike Jen wanted to be a part of this project as well. I think that would be really cool. Talking to either the former or the current owner of the Artesia Bar, which used to be called the Dolphin Bar. And, but then also because since I am a professor, getting students to help doing like student internship opportunities to help with this project as well.
Okay, and as far as the
and then PFLAG, we're going to get PFLAG involved. Yes.
And as far as the stipend amount, is that adequate? What do you anticipate using it for?
I know it sounds like a hefty amount, but I am essentially coming to you as three people in one. As a researcher, an analyst, and a liaison. Like, I already have the connections. You don't need to get somebody that has the connections. I have the experience in writing, and writing at a big scale. I have the experience and also gathering data and assessing data. I guess 4 in 1, because I also have the local and broader LGBT academic background. So really, I think it's a fair price.
Okay. And as far as the end product goes, if we have the library that's engaged in this, how do you anticipate making it meaningful so the people that participate in it can actually want to participate in it? Right.
So there's a few ideas, and this is something that we can all discuss. Of course, having the report, having the hefty thing that people can reference either physically or digitally like Sacramento has, but also having a more concise, possibly 20-page version of it that people can use for educational purposes. We can also turn parts of the report into visuals. We can have a timeline. We can have the pictures that people, because I'm hoping to gather pictures and videos from people, oral histories as well. We can record these oral histories and have them maybe playing on screens or being accessible online for people to access. I got this idea from the Holocaust Project in DC, I believe is where it's located. And also just, we already have, as you all mentioned earlier, we have all of our historical designations for our houses, right? And then we're working on different projects of hopefully the same scope for other communities in Redondo Beach. It would be really cool to put all of that together in a walking tour kind of thing. And that could be where either people are actually giving the tours or we have QR codes up on different posts around the city. And I just think that's just one of the cutest ideas, is being able to walk around, scan something, and being able to see why is this area historically significant. And they can even be parsed out by area or by subject, or if people are just wanting an excuse to walk around their city. It gets people engaged. Yeah, just tons of ideas.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from our commission?
I don't have questions for her, but I do have a couple questions about the report and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can finish with this part and then go into those kind of
Okay.
questions. Then we can end your public comment if we need to.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm not going anywhere. I could sit down, I could sit back, stand back up. We're good. I brought my work. It's finals week right now, so I'm grading.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So we're good?
very qualified.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want to speak now or do you want to wait until we actually have more discussion and then come up and speak? I'll leave it to you which way you want to go. Okay, so you have more questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in this little, on the agenda, it says the background is at the March 10th, 2026 meeting of the Redondo Beach City Council. Council approved a referral to the Public Amenities Commission to discuss and come up with a history of the LGBTQ community in Redondo Beach to help inform the Cultural Arts Commission and their selection of art for the North Redondo area. So I'm just wondering, so this seems much more extensive. So is this report going to be the report that helps inform the art specifically for the North Redondo area, or is this an expanded project?
Well, this is the scope that we're discussing.
Okay.
I think we will have enough to come out of this report to actually do a one-pager or at least have the report available if the council wants them to. Everything has to go through the council. I didn't know about the Sacramento report until I took that class, but it was when I read it, it's like, wow, if we could do something like that with, as Sarah said, with each of our discrete communities. I can see us doing it with the Hispanic community. I can see us do it with the Japanese American community. I can see it done with the Native American communities. This may end up being the role model that takes us forward on it. This is, I think, the only thing that the city has ever asked us to do on our own. Everything else is we're reacting to, public hearing on a landmark, for example. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, I would like to flush out the scope from you. I don't have a problem if you guys say that, hey, it's going to be a one-page thing, but I think we have a person in our community who has a lot of talents that can bring out more of the stories and elevate the stories. And again, to me, with the history background, it's elevating these stories to something that not only makes it an individual story, but a community-wide story. I mean, I'm just learning a little bit about the community at this point, but, you know,
Mhm.
it's something that you can, as a commissioner, can say that this is what you want.
And then just to go back to your notes that you briefly mentioned before she spoke, you mentioned something, Sarah, sorry, I didn't have your name in front of me, before Sarah spoke, about this potentially being funded by privately or community groups, so this money wouldn't be coming from the city.
Correct. I don't think the city would put up money for it. They're putting up money for the sculpture. I don't think it's something, 10,000 is not necessarily a difficult thing to raise money for, ultimately. So I think if we go to the council and say, can we raise the money, and you guys don't have to pay for anything, then I think we have a better shot of doing it. If it turns out that 10,000 is not enough for this project to actually explode into something more prominent, now that we have the CLG report, we would need the city to authorize us to do grant searches. And again, there's one that CLG does provide for grants for this kind of project. So I don't anticipate it's going to cost the city anything. And if anything, I think we'll actually have no problem raising 10,000.
And then just additionally, you mentioned something about I'm just asking questions because I want to know what this city investment is going to be in terms of like staff hours and money and stuff. And so you answered that question about possibly a grant or, but you mentioned a librarian involvement, and I'm just wondering what.
Okay, so the
Like
Sacramento
there.
project and the Los Angeles project were done by the preservation people, the planning department. This context statement in Sacramento is out of their planning department. I don't know what the support would be for that. I know that they're stretched pretty thin, but we do have a library and a library director who's been very flexible and may have some additional ideas for it. But again, if we get buy-in from, it has to come from the city manager first. And then, of course, our liaison has to be willing to do it. I'm getting a vibe that he may be willing to do it, and he may be willing to devote some city resources to it, depending on how many hours is necessary. But that's why I'm saying it's all a recommendation. So if the city says, no, we don't want to do anything beyond just writing for that sculpture, you know, that's our direction, that we take it from the city. That's why I came up with 9 different things to talk to them about, if you want them.
Okay.
Anybody else? Questions?
Yes.
Okay.
A couple of things. So circling back to the funding component, are you anticipating that whoever is chairing this subcommittee be doing the fundraising, the work of fundraising for the funding?
If the city lets that chair do that, then I would say that yes. But again, it's like, in order to raise funds in the city, there are certain hoops you have to jump through. And if it goes through, for example, community services, they're probably more restricted hoops. So if the city says, you guys can go ahead and do fundraising for it and raise the money, I don't think it's a problem raising the money, but yes.
That's question. That was question number 1. Question number 2 refers to the CLG funding. So if we apply to use CLG grant money to do this project, either in part or in whole, does that take away from our ability to apply for other projects. Let's say hypothetically speaking, not to make anybody crazy here, but the King Harbor sign, for example, right? If the city council had a moment and decided that they wanted to designate the King Harbor sign and make it a landmark, and we would then apply to use the CLG funding to offset the restoration costs of that sign. So if we ask for money for this project, would it take away from our ability to ask for money for other projects? Or, for example, our historical context statement, or if we wanted to do another resource inventory, you know, that's just a question to think about. The timing of it, of this project, so how does the timing work in terms of the LGBTQ proposed project, art project?
Okay.
And
Want me
how,
to answer both of those now?
yes, please. Thank
Okay.
you.
So you are correct. I don't know what the CLG, every grant request has a certain window that you have to submit your grant request. And we don't control what they would approve. They've approved this kind of project before. They've approved historical context statements. I believe at one point, the last survey we did was through one of these grants. I do know that we missed the deadline for submitting the CLG report, and I don't know if that means we're out of contention for this year. All I'm saying is and I think I used the word investigate into the applicability of grants. We have to get the city to say yes. The person that's not a staff person of the city cannot independently go out and get grants unless the city manager essentially authorizes us to do that. We have certain projects in the city, the Path of History, the park benches, were all ones that people can independently fundraise and donate. The proceeds go to certain designated projects. That's something that we don't have control of, the council does. So that's why I worded it investigate. We'll see what's out there. We can't apply, but we can surely refer on to the council with that. I don't know what kind of ear we have with the council. The gentleman in the audience probably has a better understanding of which way the council people lean with regards to supporting this or not supporting it. There's the District 5 representative who made some comments about wanting to be exclusive, but inclusive, or something similar to that. I know the District 4 person seems to be very enthusiastic about it. So I don't know where the rest of the council sits. So yes, we'll need to investigate anyway what funding is available. CLG funding probably will end up coming out of the planning department, because that's usually a community development activity. I haven't reached out to the Sacramento people, the director over there, to find out how they funded it. I got an estimate of about 40 to 60,000 with grant money on it. But because it's the director of their planning department, I'm not going to reach out to that person until our planning department is on board with it. So that's on that. On the timing, I don't know what the timing is going to be. We don't have the same time pressure as far as that goes, because Sarah, if she's the one that you guys say, yeah, we would like her to be the one coordinating it, she's done some research, but at the same time, we may find that people want to participate in this, and that may take a lot longer. The report drafting process is going to take some time. So realistically, I think I've talked with Sarah about maybe a year, but we don't have the same time pressure. And that's why I asked for quarterly reports in my recommendations, so that we can gauge how it's going, and we can report to the council how it's going. And if they haven't given us any time parameters either on it. They know that it's not going to be done by the end of June, but that's kind of where we're sitting on the timing.
For the larger report or for what they were looking to get in terms of the art sculpture?
The art sculpture, they can probably kick it out in less than a week. But I don't even know if the Cultural Arts Commission has an idea of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen, and Councilman Abaji is the one who's been sending me, like he's the one who came up with the 3 dolphins, and it's like, well, what does that really have to do with, the project? And I'm not saying not criticizing them. That's outside of our lane, what the sculpture is going to be. There's a paid consultant on it who's supposed to take whatever the council says and put it together. I don't know. I think we have an opportunity and enough of a lane to actually do something that's going to be meaningful to our group, to the community as a whole, and to get the history out there. So I'm looking at this, if we go forward with some of these recommendations, to go to the council and say, this is what we want to do. Are you okay with it, or do you want us to go back to just doing the part about the sculpture, which we don't know what it is, so it's really hard to write a history on it, and it seems to be limited then to just the Artesia corridor versus something on the broader scale. Betty didn't share any of the history that she shared with the council, but there is some history in this community. It may not be as deep as Sacramento, but it probably goes back to the beginning of time. And one of your questions on your board may end up being one of the topics of discovery at some point. So it's something that, again, we have the opportunity to do. I am aware of your time constraints, Commissioner Caldwell, so do you have any questions?
I do. I think I would like to ask you, if you don't mind, and I don't mean this to be rude, but could you state what you're asking from us today? Because I'm confused. I've read what I have before me, but as you went through the material or in your talking points, I'm confused as to what it is you're asking from us today.
Okay, so I raised 8 points, and it's all a recommendation of the council and the city manager. One, the initial stipend of $10,000 so that they can do right research and then coordinate with the advisory team. Second is to authorize us or anybody that's associated with the project to apply for grants or authorize raising of funds, because that requires city-specific approval from the community organizations to fund that initial stipend. Then to authorize city staff to participate in the community advisory team. That's going to require the city manager to say, okay, this is important enough that I'm going to authorize staff people to spend time doing it. My preference, and that's going to be part of any motion that's presented, is that there be a research librarian associated with it, which makes sense, but that's going to be at the discretion of our library director. To authorize the formation of a community advisory team for the purpose of furthering the project. We have a structure in the city with commissions and stuff, and when you try to get community input, you want to have the ability to actually bring in people that are more vested into the story. This is not my story. If I had to write it, I couldn't do a good job of it. You'll see when the Ito Park signs come out, I really reluctantly started writing it. Fortunately, I have a really good editor over here who managed to make it something palatable. It's not my story. I don't feel comfortable telling it. I'd rather have the people that are part of that story to tell the story. And then have us decide what the scope of the project is. Do you want something that's the one pager? Do you want something intermediate? Do you want a full-blown thing as far as that goes? And it's going to be subject to whatever the council wants to do. Also, to authorize me or the PAC subcommittee chair to present an oral report to the council about what we decided. So when we come back to our next meeting, I can relate to you what the council's direction was with regards to it. And then this is my personal preference that the library director be the overall city staff person coordinating the project and the department that it goes through. And then the last point is, if we do approve a $10,000 stipend, you heard from Sarah that she's got the experience and the background. She seems comfortable being able to take the initial laboring order. Doesn't mean we're going to be stuck with it at the end, but she's the one that I would like to at least have the city council say, hey, okay, you can have her be the coordinator on it.
Okay. Thank you for running through that. Make sure I can. Let me just say that I'm very supportive of this effort. I'm very supportive of the work of the subcommittee. And I apologize, Mr. Chairman. This is an ongoing concern that I have, and you and I have discussed it a little bit, about taking on significant tasks that require significant amounts of staff time. And you talked a little bit about the hoops, jumping through the hoops. And so let me just say, if this is a privately funded effort by residents and community organizations, I really don't see a problem with that, and I would support it. When you talk about getting grants, I would say there's no such thing as free money, because it requires staff to manage those and provide reports. And it's an ongoing task. Very rarely can you just get a check and you're good to go. So there's significant efforts that are required of Redondo Beach staff. As far as authorizing staff goes, I do think and I hope that the city manager and the city council would support that, especially if it was a community-based effort, a private effort. You would want staff, I think, to continue to follow it and engage. The scope of the project, I do think, and you mentioned this, we need city council direction on that, and I don't feel comfortable actually defining what that scope is, because if the city's going to fund it to the tune of $10,000, which I would support, if the city said, I want to support a stipend, I would be very supportive of that. But then they need to determine what that scope of work is, what they expect, and what the public should expect of that $10,000. And then lastly, and I really want to stress this, that I was extremely impressed with Sarah's credentials, her knowledge, her passion for these issues. And I believe that she would be an amazing person to lead this effort. However, when the city is going to utilize city funds, whether it's a city-funded stipend, you have to go through some process of procurement. And I want to make sure that we're upfront with that. And I know, I apologize for calling you Sarah. You probably, what's your last name? Leiden. Ms. Leiden. I know that if you went through a proper procurement process, I have a hard time believing that somebody's going to come in with more knowledge. However, that process is crucial if you're going to utilize city funding, and if you're going to use grant funds, so the city procures a grant and then ultimately has to manage that grant, you need to go through a procurement process. And so I would not feel comfortable with recommending to the city that we do kind of a sole source. And I'm sure you vetted, others, and there was a process involved, but the city needs to do that. And so I would just speak, for me, I'm supportive of the work that you want to accomplish. I'm supportive of the work that you want to receive back. but I think that the scope of work definitely needs to be defined by the city council or city staff. But I think that short of recommending that the council move forward with a specific research effort and possibly attach a $10,000 stipend, beyond that, I don't know that I'm ready to do that, and I don't know that the commission necessarily could do that, especially here today.
Okay. Just specifically address you, I've actually been listening to you about overburdening staff. And that's why I started off by saying this is just a recommendation to the council. They can figure out what they want to do. I didn't anticipate we'd be using city funds at all. If we do a grant, that's unfortunately city staff's involved, and that's something that we'd have to go to the council and say, hey, what I do, the city manager and the city council does control the priorities of the city. And so when we make a recommendation, it's not that they have to follow it. They can do whatever they please. They can say, you guys are way out of line and you're asking too much. But I don't anticipate we're going to be asking the city for any money. The only thing that I would like to do is have the city connected to it by having somebody liaise with the group that's going to be putting it all together so that we get reports, the council can get reports. And I think that the library, if I said, let's put it in planning like they did in Sacramento, I know that I would be causing a lot of strain on that department. No offense, but you are the most efficient city department around at this point. So I think it's something, and I've discussed it with you. If you tell me you don't have the bandwidth in your department to deal with it, and that's something that you can work with the city manager to define the parameters, I think that would address your concern as well. But we're not looking for city money at this point, unless the city council says all of a sudden, hey, you know what, don't go raise it in the community, we'll throw it in your budget. But we're far enough in the budget process at this point, I doubt it's gonna make it in there.
If I may as well. So I actually agree with a lot of what Commissioner Caldwell said, but in regards to the physical component of this, take at the project side. So I'm a subject matter expert with federal grants. So I'm just going to preface that before I speak about that. So the Code of Federal Regulations, 2 CFR 200, all the subparts A through E, cost principles, everything, you have to procure after a certain threshold of dollar amount. And the state of California defers to the federal regulations for that. So depending on the amount that you're trying to pass through for this budget, you have to go through a procurement process. The other thing is, and again, Commissioner Caldwell mentioned this, is the sole source thresholds for each city. So each city has a different sole source threshold, which is a not to exceed amount, which they can award to a single person. Aside from that, you have to procure. That is usually codified in municipal codes, and I can guarantee that. So again, my question is that if there's privately raised money, but we're acting on behalf of the city to procure services, are they subject to those sole source thresholds? I'm going to guess that they are.
I'm going to guess they are too.
So
I think that that's something that the council and the city manager would come back and say, okay, the timetable's flexible. I mean, you know, from the grants, if we could go down a grant path, we're talking pushing this project out at least a year, if not longer.
Let me explain just the very cursory grant path. You got to wait for a NOFA, which is a notice of funding availability. Right. Then you got to respond to the NOFA. They might close the NOFA after you respond to it. So there might be grants available, there might not be available. So if you're only specifically looking to solicit grants, that I can only tell you the administrative process of it. I can't tell you the timeline depending on what's available, what's not. But I guess my concern is just with how this is written in the agenda is the awarding of a stipend. First, I would ask respectfully as well, like a $10,000 not to exceed amount for this type of project, like, is that kind of, do we have like line item detail and what that would entail, like hourly breakdowns? I mean, that's a pretty lofty ask. And again, to mirror what Commissioner Caldwell said, is the deliverable. I think we need to kind of heighten out what the deliverable of this would be.
Yeah, and I think I when I said that she would be the recipient, it's subject to a memo of understanding with the city. So the city is going to decide what the timing is, how the money gets dispersed. Are they going to require timesheets? Are they going to require completed contract, or stages of a completed contract? We're at point zero ultimately, other than we actually have somebody land in our lap that actually is experienced in it. If she wasn't here, I would be saying we need to start looking at grants. We don't have to at this point. If they ultimately decide that, gee, this project is too big for the $10,000 stipend and they can justify it, we may end up stalling this project until we can actually find a grant. But everything is going to be, this is all recommendations. It's not a commitment by the city to do anything. As a matter of fact, if we do vote to award a $10,000 stipend, initial stipend, the city may say no. And then nothing's going to start until the city decides what it wants to do. That's why I put in there that I will go to the city council next month and report back what happened and get their feedback, whether it's put everything on hold or, yeah, go forward with it or something similar to that. I don't know what they're going to say. All I know is that our authority only is to make recommendations to the council, especially when it comes to money. But I understand what you're saying, and I understand the processes that you're describing. I expect that if we say, yeah, let's go with it, and it could be just as simple as, yeah, let's go with it, I can sit down with the city manager and say, okay, what do you need from us at the next meeting? But this is not something that's going to be turned around immediately. It's got time. It's got time for the processes to be built in. So that's, I hope that answers some of your questions. Our CLG was late, so I don't even know if we're eligible for grant money for this upcoming year or not. That's something that I need to check out as far as that goes. It's something that maybe our CLG coordinator knows, or maybe you have the ability to quickly find out from your people without much effort whether...
You need more than a $10,000 stipend, sir.
I know. The Sacramento report is like 40 to 60,000, so...
Yes, it's costly. And then again, to get the grant funds in general, like you're going through a lot of administrative hoops in general. I guess I'm just interpreting this as how it's written in the agenda, right? Like the request of a stipend, like specific request. If we're quantifying a dollar amount, I'm just trying to see what roadblocks you would have with that dollar amount ask for the stipend.
$10,000, I don't anticipate as much of a roadblock if it's coming from private sources.
Well, if you're acting on behalf of the city, you may be subject to procurement policies. So I would look at the city's procurement policy. It's typically published. So
yeah, I'll end up talking to the people in the city before I do anything with that. And again, they may have the same questions and they may ultimately say, no, you guys can't do it. And that's one of the risks that go with doing something like this.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So the title in the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the request of a stipend. So is the request of a stipend an idea that the subcommittee came up with, or was there an offer of a bigger research project from the city council?
So the city council has not discussed anything about it. When I was faced with this on the historical commission, I had proposed $1,000 just to get somebody to do the research on it, again, because it's not my story. Mm-hmm. When I talked to, and the mayor is the one who actually gave me the contact information for Sarah, I talked to Sarah about the project, seeing if, I was originally looking at this as a possible grant project, but she came forward and told me her experience and how much she's already done. And I was like, you know what, this could work. And I asked her, what do you think a fair stipend would be for the work? It's a lot of work to do the research. It's a lot of work to do the writing. And we came up with the number. Actually, she came up with the number. I thought that was fair because I think it's very easy to raise that. I've already made a note on my thing about the procurement, but I'm going to highlight it even more on this thing. Yeah, so that's where the number came from. And the wording was, let's just at least get the stipend proposition out there so that everybody is on the same page. But as I said, when I started, I kind of want to know if you guys want a full-scale project that has meaningfulness to it and tells the story, or whether you want to just limit it to what the council said this go around about just writing to the sculpture, which we don't know what it is.
I think looking at the Sacramento LGBTQ report, I mean, it's an amazing report. It's super comprehensive. It's really interesting. I think that we all look at this and would love a series of these for our city. Going back to the city council's referral to about the discussion to come up with the history, I'm wondering if what they were expecting us to produce is much smaller in scale, probably, right, than this. And I'm wondering if we give them a few options.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
that's a fair thing, but I don't think they knew what the scale was going to be when they proposed it. I think they had an idea on the artwork because they actually put a fixed dollar amount on how much of the Parsons Fund was going to be used for the artwork. But they said come up with a history, and this is the same proposal that they came up with several years ago. So again, until we hear back from the council with our ideas,
because I bet they know how great your research is, and I'm wondering if and you hail from the historical commission, right? So I'm wondering if they were thinking that this was something that the subcommittee was going to produce.
No, I don't think that was it, because again, it's not my story. That's part of the problem.
I'm just wondering what what they were expecting.
They were expecting something that would be meaningful. Again, I could, banging out a one-page thing for a sculpture, if you're going to put it underneath the sculpture, is one thing, and it'd be like the Statue of Liberty kind of thing. If you're going to do something even more that involves finding out the history, which I think benefits all of us in the community, that would be another thing. Yes, and I know your time is constrained.
Yeah, I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to be respectful. There's a member of the public that wanted to make public comment, and I was going to ask if you wouldn't mind if we could have him speak. That way I could hear it, because I do need to leave here at 8.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come on up. If you state your name again.
You already have name and so on, right? We've all done this many times over. I honestly have no idea where you folks are taking this. I was purely talking about a sculpture. That's it. But I've heard the word project how many times? 10, 12? I believe Zane, and unfortunately I'm in his district, asked for a history within Redondo Beach, which should be very, very, very simple to provide that man. This seems to be, I forgot to tell you, LGBTQ plus should be on your presentation. I had to look that up when it first popped up in January, wondering, okay, I get pieces of it. What is this? And with all due respect, Sarah, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name. I don't care about race, where people are from, what people do. But if I'm telling you something, there's a lot of people that have the same opinion. And I will say that comes from Zane's meeting, I believe it was January 25th, could be 28th, something right around there. Miss Kelly on her 528 meeting last year asked city council members, please communicate with the members of your community. Zane's exact words, after council member and 3 spoke for over 2 hours in that meeting at North Branch Library. Zane had a couple minutes, he threw up a PowerPoint. The last item said LGBTQ plus sculpture. And I just kind of looked, this January, this stuff's been going on for a long time. And on 5/28 is when Miss Kelly snuck it in my opinion, and many, many others, to what's going on. And I'm just talking about the sculpture. His comment, public opinion in his area was gay bar, public sculpture. They both closed their books, walked out, and I will tell you, half of that room had their hands raised. I don't know if it was about what she spoke on, something he spoke on, but I have never witnessed that type of meeting where people raised their hands and literally people closed and left. That was sad to see. So if I say something to you, it's because I have the RFQ. This is all funded. This thing's moving so far along. I communicated with businesses, people. I would have put 1,000 people against Zane's little presentation he had, against it. So I do have numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, we're not the Cultural Arts Commission, so we're just talking about putting the stories together.
Right, but I think Zane said a history in Redondo.
Yes, and I think that's where we're focusing on.
Well, I'm
hoping that's
thank you.
what we focus
I don't
on.
think so. I'm hearing
Thank you.
Sacramento budgets and all kinds of other.
We don't want to get into a dialogue now. It's not the time. Thank you.
I'm not going to correct you.
Right.
But I will tell you, this is why nobody's here. Folks like yourself
Thank you, sir.
make it an unfriendly place.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
And it's
Thank you.
all throughout the city.
Okay. You said there was somebody online?
Thank you for correcting me though, sir.
There's nobody online, and there's
Okay.
no other comments.
You said there was somebody for L2 at one point. Did they drop off?
Oh, no, I was referencing Miss Linen from
Okay.
earlier, so no,
Great.
nothing.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Caldwell, for being here. Hopefully you'll be at the event that's coming up. Okay, so as I said, I've gone 8 different proposals out there. You can, I would suggest do a piece by piece with regards to it. And again, everything is premised that it's only a recommendation to the council and the city manager that they approve what we present. If you guys don't want to do some of it, that's fine too. So the first thing I would like is an initial stipend of $10,000. Again, recommendation of the council that they authorize us to do an initial stipend of $10,000, not from city funds, for research and writing and coordination of an advisory team. And if you want us to limit that to subject to the procurement rules of the city, I can add that too, but that would be my initial proposal, is an initial stipend of $10,000, not from city funds, for research and writing and coordination of the advisory team. Yes.
Might I interject, offer some input? Just from my perspective, it sounds like a very ambitious project, and I certainly respect it. The scope is certainly ambitious. An alternative suggested might be to first request a narrower scope or a scope from council, and then pursue that scope. That seems like the path of direction. And then we've done a lot of research, a lot of putting stuff together, and I love the references that have been provided. But in my humble opinion, I feel like maybe putting the cart before the horse, it would be better to get that refinement first rather than propose a larger scope. If it gets narrowed down, then you have more work to do. So it might be easier, in my humble opinion, to request a refined scope from council, and then move forward with a more defined scope. And perhaps if you could even get a timeline, then we could get that information back, and I think you would then have the guidelines to act appropriately and within scope. Again, just a
I don't think
suggestion.
we've discussed scope, but, other than something bigger than just a sign, but I appreciate that.
That was just input from your liaison. And I can't speak for the other departments. And from the library, I mean, certainly, again, I think everybody here is generally supportive of it, for sure. But I'd have to regroup with our team and see what, if anything, we could commit to actual research. It's a very complex proposal with a lot of moving parts and a lot to digest and think about, in my opinion, in the limited time that we have here. But again, very supportive, very ambitious. Some of the references there were a grander scale and obviously took a lot of time and effort and energy, and a huge community came together to put those works together, and they're living documents. So I think that's awesome and should be celebrated. But what I'm hearing from the commissioners and from the direction is there might be some leeway there in scope. We kind of have like the very limited concept of just something to, reference, provide some context for the artwork, and then a living, breathing document with potential artwork and oral histories, which again is great, fantastic. I have worked on oral histories in regards to veterans memorial documentation for the city of Torrance. So that's great, but it's a lot of work and it's very ambitious. And I would humbly suggest that you might request a more refined scope in what the ask was, and then that action and movement forward could be more deliberative down that road. Thank you.
Okay, so I do have a question to follow up on that. When you say talk to the council about the scope, we do have to present some alternatives if we go into scope. And I guess that would be consensus from this group, whether they want to do it extremely limited, they want to do something extremely expansive like a historical context statement, or they want something in between.
I think it would be, and again, in my humble opinion for the commission, a good idea to provide some, maybe go back to the drawing board, give some examples of what's possible, both in the short term and the long term. And if you have an ambitious project, and that's something that we all can and do want to support, it's just you could provide some steps and maybe some examples, and then get a little more guidance. That's all I would suggest, or maybe recommend or consider, certainly, as maybe some options and some feedback, so that you are a little bit more aware of what the project is. Or maybe, it could be you go back and you say, hey, we have this great opportunity. We think this should be a multi-year project, and this is what we're aiming for. And we're supportive and given that directive or you're given that directive as a commission. Or conversely, and I don't know, I just, understand the referral. It could be a little bit more limited, and maybe it was designed to coincide with the artwork. I don't know. So maybe a request for a little bit more detail of scope might be something to consider as well. Thank you.
So quick question is, along with your line of thinking, this obviously doesn't say much, come up with a history of the community. Did we have more information as to exactly what Zane was, or what they were saying? Is it written history? Should we go look at the tape?
Well, you can look at the tape. I think I tried to take it verbatim. I do think, to your question, that's what it sounds like here is there's a little bit of discussion about alternatives, and maybe commission decides to recommend going back for a little more direction and And again, if you don't like the word scope, but a little more direction as far as, would there be any money attached to it? Maybe it's more questions that commission asks to then get a little more refinement in scope. I would just kind of hesitate to come back with a large proposal and then have council say, well, this is what we wanted. So maybe it would save time if you just requested a little more direction and maybe get a little bit more coalescence around what the actual idea was. Does that make
Were
sense?
the attachments given by city council to us?
They were provided by the chair.
Okay, fair enough.
By the chair of the subcommittee.
Yeah, got it. I don't see any direction here. I agree with you. Not enough direction.
Any other comments?
I think, I think that's it for me.
Okay, so what I'm hearing and what I'm now sensing is the library our liaison is making a strong recommendation for it. I don't think there's no timetable, so I don't have a problem doing that. And I may answer some of your questions about procurement and whether we can do fundraising. But there is one piece over here that I would like to be able to do. And I know our liaison goes to the meeting, so I know that I'm not going to run into a problem with it. But for you to authorize me to present an oral report and ask for the scope of the project that they want. To answer Commissioner Rowe's question, it's more expansive because I was on the historical commission when they first brought it up several times ago.
Oh, no.
So,
Did we establish a subcommittee for this during the last
you
meeting?
want to be on it?
I was going to say, should we delegate this task to the subcommittee? You're on the subcommittee.
I am the subcommittee.
I think we can articulate it that the chair of the subcommittee can go and verbalize this ask, maybe.
Okay. Well, if you authorize me, I will.
Maybe that's an item L3 discussion for subcommittee updates. That's like a goal for your subcommittee?
Well,
Or do you?
if you put it as a subcommittee thing, it ends up having to go through the whole agendizing process. This is already agendizing. This is the solution to it. And if you do authorize me to, I would recommend we table this to the next meeting as well. But I do want to be able to at least get that direction for you for the next meeting.
I don't see any opposition to that from my end. So.
Okay. So then I'm going to make a motion that authorizes the chair or the PAC subcommittee chair, which is me, to present an oral report to the council and report before the next PAC meeting specifically, and I wrote it down here, to discuss whether they can give us the scope of what they want, further refine it, talk about some of the possibilities, so they can make if they ask the question, give them some examples and get more direction from them. And that's what I'm asking. Is that fair?
I would second that motion.
Okay. Any public comment on that?
No public comment.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so it passes. So the rest of my talking points we can save for another day. I'm going to move also that we table this discussion to the next meeting when we get further guidance from the council. Although I do note that this was supposed to be on one of our agendas before, and it didn't get there because you had asked the council to give us a referral. So.
Right. We received that referral, and I think I immediately, I have to double check, but I think it almost immediately came on the following Public Amenities Commission for discussion. That's when the subcommittee was created. And at that time, I don't think there's any discussion about scope.
So I would move that we table the discussion of the rest of this item to the next meeting, where it can be reported back.
Well, And that's certainly something you can do. We might consider bringing the broader subject back, because I think this item, the title item is a little narrow, so I hesitate bringing back just the stipend item. We could bring back an item to discuss the overall project a little more broadly and possibly include the request for a stipend. Does that make sense?
So you would say something like to discuss the scope of this project.
Right.
Okay, including funding.
Right. So we would agendize it so it wouldn't be a continuation. It would be a separate item, as it would include the scope of the request.
Would we also include potentially our District 4 councilman to attend the meeting? Perhaps he could answer some important questions regarding, the Commissioner Yusuf Sai was asking.
Sure.
On the procurement and things like that.
He's your councilman, so you may want to ask him directly. I could have sent him a text while we're sitting here, but I didn't do that because I think they frown on us doing those things. But yes, if we can formally extend the invitation through you to the city manager. And
just in terms of just answering some questions, but not to take, any particular, not to encumber, or speak for other council members. But it would be helpful, in these meetings, I think you mentioned it as well, having the appropriate staff here, so when we have these discussions, we can really get somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to also call in or Zoom in, so.
Sure.
Okay, can you extend that invitation? Great. So my motion is to table it with an expanded language that talks about scope and funding. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that it's tabled until the next meeting. Moving on to L3, the commission subcommittee review and project update. Let me get to that page. Where is it? Sorry, there with all our committees. Minor alteration subcommittee.
There are no updates.
Did they correct the
Yes.
CLG
Yes.
to reflect that? Okay, great. Anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Just curious, when was the last time you actually did end up?
It's been a very long, I don't think we did any since we've been on this commission, correct?
Oh, we
Or
had
did
one
We had one.
meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Facilities User Subcommittee, Commissioners Yusufai, Macaulay, and Lang. Anything on that?
We've had no
No.
updates.
Okay. Volunteer Acknowledgement Program Subcommittee, Commissioners Rowe, Yusufai, and Caldwell.
So updates, yeah, we've got a couple of volunteer applications in the queue. That process goes slow. I'm reaching out to other commissions now to try to get input on people that they could nominate. We have been limited to volunteers only within the Parks and Recs realm, and I'm working on expanding that. But I've been told twice to keep it to Recs and Parks. I don't agree with that, but we're working on it.
Okay.
So it's an ongoing process.
So do you work directly with Kelly Orta then?
That's the person who told me that's Recs and Parks only. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Commissioner Yusufai?
No.
Okay. Bringing history to the community subcommittee, myself, Commissioner Lang, and Commissioner McCauley. We actually will have some topics to discuss coming forth on that. I am told that the Ito Family Park the signs are now with the fabricator, which was the one that you actually found, the Vacker one.
Oh, wonderful.
So hopefully we'll get the proofs back. Then apparently, because now Dominguez Park is able to have the playground open, we may actually be able to get the historical timeline stuff done. We have a design for the timeline. You may have seen it with the historical district plans from last month's meeting. So that's a good thing. And then we just have to pick the dates that we want as significant. And we agreed to limit ourselves to 8. So there's a lot of history, but we'll have 8. Also, just so you know, I did go fabricate one of the
Oh, did you?
signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I presented it last night to.
You didn't bring it?
It's the same one that we had before. I presented it to Councilman Chadwick since he has all of our historic districts in his district. And then I gave an additional one to the city manager so he could decide whether he wanted to put it up or not. I noticed that Mike Klein was in the audience. Hopefully he handed it to Mike and said, go do it, but I don't know. So I leave it with him as far as that goes. They were putting up, it's been 2 months since Community Services had that just to approve the font, and they didn't know, but they were making a very large process of it. And when you talk to John, he actually started researching the signs, but I think that's been calmed down. So that's kind of out there. And Path of History, we'll start getting some of those signs done. I got the text and the pictures, and you'll get to do your fun editing stuff on that. And we have funding that carried over as well from this current year. So we still have the ability to put up ones. That's all I have to report. Do you want to add anything, or do you have anything to add?
No,
Okay.
I have nothing to add.
Franklin Park Playground Subcommittee, Commissioners Lang, Caldwell, and Galassi. Anybody want to say anything?
There was an update actually from Director Orta on the Franklin Park Playground replacement. So there, it appears that DBA Game Time is going to manufacture and install the playground, which we know. And the process is moving along. They've been working closely with Game Time representatives, and they're finalizing the details. And I believe that they're going to be initiating the fabrication soon.
Cool.
That's it.
Thank you. Alta Vista Park Pickleball Subcommittee, Commissioner Galassi. I think there's a written report, isn't there?
So yes, there are a couple of items on this. So within the report that was provided, we're noting that the 2 safety concerns that were brought to the attention of staff are being addressed. As a matter of fact, I did receive an email from Director Orta asking for a subcommittee meeting, which I did respond back to her, so I'm waiting for her to set that up. I did notice on the courts that they had applied some sort of striping on the step. That was one of the safety concerns, was that the step wasn't very visible, and people were having a little bit of a hard time knowing where to step and tripping. So I did notice that there was a strip that was applied. The only thing is, unfortunately, the heat is causing that strip to kind of come off the steps. So maybe they want to relook at that. The additional item was the barriers, the pickleball barriers that I mentioned last time. They're really inexpensive, I believe $99 for 3 of them, and that is to separate the top 2 courts from the back 2 courts, because what happens is the ball kind of comes around the tennis net, And if it's coming from behind you, you don't see it. So you could be stepping backwards and it's a, significant trip hazard. So that's being addressed. I wanted to note that in our blue folder, we had some communications regarding the reservation system. I've been hearing it also from people who have been trying to make reservations. It's apparently a little bit complicated. I've encountered issues myself. Part of it, I think, is a delay in the server. That's my, my guess. There seems to be a couple of other issues. Cancellations have to be done in person. So what's happening is that folks are tying up courts and then they're holding on to them and then not canceling them. So if I reserved a court and I made a mistake, I have to wait to get down to Alta Vista.
You can't call the
I believe you have to go there. That I haven't done it myself, but it's you can't just cancel it. There's no way to cancel it on the reservation system. So that ties up the courts. The other thing is that when you make a reservation, they're not taking payment online. So you pay when you get there. So that's another concern, I think, for the city, is that folks are, getting very hungry for these courts. They're making reservations, and then last minute they're like, oh, I really don't want it. They haven't paid for it. So when you pay for something, you have a bit of a commitment there, yeah? And because these courts are in high demand, there are specific times that the courts are in very high demand, which happens to be in the mornings. That's when the pickleball players like to play. And so some folks, what's happening is they're now deciding to go back to South Bay Tennis, for example, because their reservation system is very user-friendly. They're using something called play-by-point. So my question is, based on a number of emails here, now they don't all detail specifically what their problems are. They're just saying that they're having problems. So I'd like to make a recommendation that we find specifically what these issues are. I just wanted to read one thing. This one person said, every time that I have logged in and attempted to make a reservation and put the booking in my cart to reserve, I've either been kicked out or all the courts are showing as being reserved unavailable. But we know that there was availability because I drove down to make the reservation and was told that it was open. So there's something going on with the reservation system, which I had anticipated that there might be some concerns. Torrance uses the same reservation system that we have, and they've had issues as well.
Is it not just the same system they use for tennis?
It is. I don't know if tennis has experienced any issues. I couldn't tell you, but this is what's happening with
Can I ask you a
pickleball.
process question?
Mm-hmm.
All the emails are addressed to Dana.
Yeah.
Is there a point person who is in the city that's supposed to be looking at resolving these problems?
And are they getting the information?
They have been shared with Deputy Director Orta as well. When it comes to items for staff, you may elect to request Deputy Director Orta come back with maybe an update on it, either for the Deputy Director's report or maybe an item, but we can certainly make that request known to the Recreation.
Are these emails getting forwarded to her?
That's what yes.
They are. So
They've
she
all-
has this stuff.
Yes, and to some, I don't want to speak for her, but she, in my opinion, is very excellent about follow-up. So she may have reached out to some of those concerns already. Again, I don't want to speak for Deputy Director Orta, but they have been shared with her as well, and she's aware of those issues. So however Commission wants to follow up, or
Yeah,
make
so
a request?
I would like for the pickleball subcommittee to, to have further discussions on this with Director Orta. I think that that would be the logical
Excellent.
thing to do, and to come up with a plan, such as collecting more specific information. I do appreciate all, the fact, when you get communication from the public, they take the time to do it. Some
Absolutely.
folks, may be a little bit intimidated by the process. So if anybody is out there watching and that has submitted letters, we do appreciate getting the communication, and you're being heard. So, so I can communicate with Director Orta and see about setting up
Perfect.
a
Don't
meeting
mean to
to
interrupt,
specifically discuss the reservation system.
but I would like to add that I apologize if there was some confusion, because certainly members of the public can send communications to me to provide for commission, but it is sometimes helpful if we're a little bit more clear on what we can anticipate. If it's related to a specific item on an agenda, it might not be, but if it is, we'd like to try to include that. And then also that residents are aware that not only can they visit virtually, they can come down to the meetings, and they can provide e-comments, which is one of my favorites, because it's there. You can see it all the way up through the meeting, and all the commissioners get to see it. But they have a variety of ways to communicate with us. We try to share that information and make everybody aware of, but you're right, we want to hear their voices. Their voices are being heard, so thank you.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
So is there a methodology for tracking people who counsel and kind of put them at the back of the line if they counsel on a regular basis?
Well, that's a good question to find out.
Okay.
Because if there's a pattern happening, we should know about it.
Yeah, and you should
Because
take appropriate action against the people who are causing everybody else to have a difficulty with it.
I have a random question. There's no risk of like bots booking these time slots, right?
Well,
because I remember, and I can't remember if this was Los Verdes Golf and PV, but it's a City of Los Angeles golf course. And I remember I'm an avid golfer. I would like book tee times, and you couldn't get anything. And you would go there and be like, it's clearly like, looks like there's availability, whatnot. And I don't want to misquote this story, but I think they found out that people were buying tee time via like bots. And then they were either selling them, I don't know how that would be possible, or they were just holding all the spots. And so I don't know what the city's remedy was, but I do remember, because I was like, I personally tried to book at that, and I don't know if this is a general risk with this type of booking system or not, but I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
I heard that's new. It was a news story.
Yeah, it was a news. Yeah.
well, you're not wrong. I have been collecting stories from folks, experiences that they've had in other cities, such as Manhattan Beach, for example, and reserving courts even in Manhattan Beach. I can't confirm that that's what's happening, obviously, because that's not within my my ability to do so. But hearing the stories and hearing what you just said right now, is it a possibility? I mean, in this day and age, with technology being what it is, it certainly could be. I don't know if there's a way to find out if that's happening and what the remedy would be for that.
Well, when you meet with Ms. Orta, you might want to just have that on your agenda.
Other than you go back to old school where you call on the phone and say, I'm so-and-so, here's my membership number, I want to reserve this court, and they swipe a card, a credit card to hold it. But that, that puts a lot of work on staff.
The other question I have for our liaison, I noticed that these letters are dated in May. Is it possible to share it with the pickleball subcommittee around the same time that you receive them, so that at least it can be meaningfully analyzed before the meeting?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think I'd have to confer with city clerks. And again, it kind of, again, speaks to the process for submitting those. So I'll find out for sure. And I don't mind, doing it. I just want to make sure it's the proper fashion. If the individuals are submitting it specifically for the attention of the commission, then it's something we probably want to share with the process of agenda. But if it's something directed to the subcommittee, and that was something I need to get a little more detail on, personally, again, I don't have an issue with sharing information, but I want to make sure I'm doing it properly and not violating Brown Act. So thank you.
Just asking the question.
With the objective of finding solutions, that's
Okay.
what we're here for.
Is that it for that?
For pickleball, yeah.
Okay,
Thank
now we
you.
move on to the Preservation Outreach Subcommittee. Commissioners Caldwell, Rowe, and Galassi. You have a big event coming up.
We do. We're very excited about this event. And Commissioner Rowe and I and Mark Weiner and John Champa have been working on the materials for the Riviera Summer Festival. We are going to have the first preservation program booth community. It's our first outreach event. We're very excited about it. As a matter of fact, John Champa has worked on these fabulous visuals, one-page handouts, very user-friendly handouts, and we were going to turn these into some tabletop posters. I have worked on a little matching game. I didn't bring it because I didn't want to give away all the answers here in this public forum, but I did email Commissioner Rowe today. You got my email on that. And so, Chair Morocco, you received that as well. And what else? You want to add what you're working on?
So this is going to be fun. I've never been down to this particular event, but there's 300 booths, food, entertainment, arts and crafts, a few city people. We'll do our best to bring people in to inform them. I think we have 2,000 possible houses that could be designated as historical houses. We have an adult game. Of course, I'm in charge of the kids' games because I'm a kid, but we'll hopefully entertain people and teach them a little bit about what we're doing here. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. June 26, 27, 28. Let's see, 12 to 9 on Friday, 10 to 8 on Saturday, 10 to 7 on Sunday. We'll be there from 12 to 5. And by the way,
Approximately.
we need people to actually volunteer,
Yes, we do.
because we need like 2-hour shifts. So I'm going to get someone to email you and ask, can you come do a 2-hour shift?
What are the dates?
26,
Oh.
27, 28.
Last weekend of June.
It's one of the better community
26,
fairs.
20.
That's why we can't do 9 hours a day, but we're going to get a few city employees and a few of us, and hopefully a few of you to come and just pitch the ideas.
Do they tell you where your booth is located?
Not yet.
Not yet. We haven't
But we
received
will-
that
Yeah,
information.
I'm
Yeah.
looking, because I got to
Riviera.
bring down all the
Yeah.
tables and stuff and the tent. That's my purvey.
So
my,
I think there's misinformation on this Mills Act
Uh-oh,
flyer. Or maybe I'm misreading it.
thank you. Go ahead.
No, I'm misreading it. I thought it was to be part of the landmark thing, but you do have to be a historic landmark.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, so basically, this is an opportunity for folks to understand what is the preservation program, what are the benefits of if you have a home that is of a particular age, what is the benefit of having it designated a landmark? We have examples of homes that have already been landmarked, not just homes, but, we have buildings, we have a tree.
A tree.
You do more.
And
I'll find out the name.
and
for
so
you.
also,
Just name it.
staff will also speak to folks regarding, some myths that have come up in the past, and folks get very nervous about having their home designated. They fear that they cannot make any renovations or extensions or changes to their homes, which is obviously not true. I mean, there are, you have some guidelines, you have some parameters that you fall in once you become a landmark, once you receive that landmark designation, but you can for sure redo your kitchen. You can absolutely update your bathrooms. Things like that are, within the home itself are, you can do that, so they will be there to answer specific questions for folks who have them.
Okay, so one of the myths you may want to have an answer or ask John to at least get an answer, and Commissioner Rose probably, as a real estate person, is a good person. Do values of the properties go up or down if you're historic? And there's a split in the community as to that answer. So you may want to at least know that, because that's one of the questions that I get when I go asking people on it. Also, the property tax issue. I never commit to a number because there's a formula that the county assessor does, but you may find that mathematical sheet that was in the materials a good thing to walk through people when they do ask about how much they can save, because that actually, even though it's only $500,000 in the paper.
Is that the one?
Is that a new brochure?
No, this was the old one.
Oh, there was an insert in there that it had a value of 500,000. So, but that one's another one. You as a commissioner may not want to commit to that. You want the city people to at least make that commitment and pass it off onto them. But it's really up to the county assessor ultimately. What I'm hoping to hear from you is, do you have any metrics or goals that you're trying to achieve? Is it just to be out there talking to people? Are you taking signups for people to say that, hey, we're interested, please approach us and see what's going to happen? I mean, and you are going to get a lot of good quality time with the city staff over there. So
we'll have opportunity for, if folks do have a property that they're interested in landmarking, hopefully we'll always have a staff member there on hand during the times that the booth will be operative. If not, we'll have a sign-up form and folks can leave us their contact information and then we'll pass that along. I think another good idea is to have index cards where folks could actually specifically leave us questions or comments that then, if we do not have an answer for, or something that we didn't think about, and that's a good idea to follow up on, then we can collect that information. But really, this was, since this hasn't been done before, we are approaching this with eyes wide open, as an opportunity to see what the appetite is of the community, what their knowledge is of the program, and also to stimulate their excitement about it. Because what we'd like to do in the future, and that we've already talked about, is to have an event for properties that already have received landmark designation, to collect all those folks and have an event specific for them, but open to anyone who is interested. And we were considering doing something like that at the historic library. So we're looking for a date that works for the new contractor that is overseeing that facility. And yeah, that's where we are with that.
Well, one goal is this is a guinea pig event to make it better for next year. So whatever we do, we want to see whether it's effective, whether it works, whether it brings people in, whether the handouts are being, so all this is just an experiment, but to make it better.
okay.
Yeah. But good question about metrics. We should have metrics. We should have a goal for, 100 cards filled out, exactly. So
And you may want to have some sort of in mind what kind of report you want to make back to us so that we can, again, improve on what you're doing. I would strongly recommend that one of you also bring a camera and take lots of pictures, because I don't know if we do have a preservation month, maybe the library would consider putting up a bunch of pictures of you guys meeting with people, or, send off a press release afterwards that says, hey, we met with so-and-so neighbor, and they have a 1920 home, and gee, and do like a case study on them. But there's a lot of things you can produce out of that.
Thank you, yeah, appreciate that.
Okay, anything else?
That is all for me, thank you.
Okay. So we did talk about, during our meeting, the research on the LGBTQ community in Redondo Beach. That report is in what we just covered today. Recognition Preservation Subcommittee. So the signage has a lot more complications and bureaucracy associated with it. There's font styles, there's typeset, there's colors, there's logos. So I'm waiting to get some guidance, and I think the guidance is actually coming from community services as opposed to the community development department. So I have nothing really to report at this point, other than we do have a potential sign to go up in a historic district that we've had. Budget subcommittee, did any feedback from the city on any of this stuff?
Nothing.
Okay. So I guess that takes care of that aspect, unless you have a comment at this point.
Yeah, so as far as attachments, those were what were submitted as far as feedback from the commissioners regarding input as far as the strategic plan and the budget items. I did not include the initial emails because I feel in this packet, they were forwarded in context with the letter submitted on behalf of the commissioners to consolidate input both for strategic plan and the budget. Last meeting, we were requested to provide the documents sent to city manager and council for strategic plan and budget. Those were attachments under the subcommittee for the budget subcommittee to review. And then if we want to have a discussion about it in future or later, those documents were provided as requested.
Any report back from the council? I noticed they had a BRR about pickleball smoothing of the courts as part of it. Is there any other feedback from them?
I have not received any feedback, but I do, I think everything submitted by the various commissions does get looked at and reviewed. And whether it's really easy to draw a direct line, or sometimes it gets consolidated into projects. But it does get looked at, it does get considered, and I think whenever possible addressed. But we do our due diligence to try to provide your concerns via this commission to them. And, I think in regards to the budget subcommittee, I'm happy to continue to meet with them and, follow up on individual concerns the commission may feel still need to be addressed.
Thank you. And I noticed that they were bringing in a second park ranger for Wilderness Park. Actually, there's two questions that deal with that, but I'm going to save that for my commissioner items for future agendas. Okay, so can I get a motion to receive and file all the commission subcommittee reports, oral and written?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say no. Okay, just so our record's not muddled, did you make a note when Commissioner Caldwell left the room so it doesn't come up with numbers that I have to object to again?
Yes, I have that written down.
Great. So now we move for items from staff. So go ahead.
I don't really have any items, however, I had it up here. In addition to obviously, about the summer reading program, I do want to convey that the police department is hosting a blood drive at the library on Wednesday, July 15th. I can forward the flyer to commissioners in case they want to sign up for the blood drive. It's being coordinated by the police department, but we're happy to host it and help promote it. Thank you.
July 15th?
Wednesday, July 15th, from 11 a.m. to 4. And
Yeah, they give out good prizes, guys. Go by there.
You guys need to give out good prizes as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying. They do a good job.
they do. Thank you.
Hamburgers, T-shirts, you name it. Yeah, so and it's fun to go down there and do the blood drive too, by the way, so.
Okay,
That is all. Thank you.
so let's
Thank
go
you.
on to the next item, commissioner member items and future commission agenda topics. So I'm going to start with Commissioner Yusufi.
I have none for this meeting.
Okay. Commissioner Lang?
We've talked for a while about doing historical trees throughout the city, and I think it would probably be a good time to start exploring that as part of the preservation arm of this commission. So I would love to start the conversation and maybe, I don't know if we want to agendize it or make a subcommittee
You
of
want a
one.
subcommittee or you don't know?
I think that I would welcome input from the commission on what they think about that, if it's something that they would support, or if they have any ideas about moving forward with it. And then I would be happy to do the work after the initial discussion is made, like do the work on the back end.
So we probably can agendize forming a subcommittee, and that way we can have at least some of the discussion as
Okay.
part of our, so I would move that we agendize forming a tree subcommittee or tree president, I don't know.
Historic tree
Yeah,
designation subcommittee. Okay.
okay. And there is second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor of doing that, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so it'll hopefully be on the next agenda for us. Okay, so Commissioner Rowe, do you have anything to add?
I do not, but thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Galassi?
I want to thank you, Dana, for, on behalf of the farmers market, for all of your support and your help. We are very excited to continue this partnership, and my sitting on this commission being sort of like the liaison, let's call it, between the library and the farmers market is a wonderful place to be. Many ideas are coming our way and your way, which will increase patronage of the library, and that will, provide really good programming for the kids and for adults. So I'd love to sit with you and continue these conversations. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have a couple things, and I'm gonna start with what Commissioner Galassi said about the farmer's market. If this event goes off really well at the Riviera Fair, we should be considering whether we want to sponsor a table at the farmer's market talking about preservation. I know you're committed to spend a lot of time over there, but it's something I'm willing to help out if that's something that can be done. So I don't know if we need to agendize anything on it, but it's something that after we hear the report about what's successful and what's not, maybe that's something we do want to agendize for a future agenda. There is, I think I mentioned this the last meeting, we actually recommended that they rename one of the parks and to Joe DeWeziak Park from one of the Eaton parks. And it seems to be stalled at the city. It's not so much stalled at the city council, it's stalled, I think in community service, because I did hear during the strategic plan that it's very low priority. And as I pointed out the last time, we have one former chair of that commission, and I think You were on that commission at one point too, and so was Commissioner McCauley who's chair. We have the people that can at least come up with some of the concepts, meet with the community services director, get a sense of where she may want to go, and then propose a policy that gets worked up through the process. So if you haven't broached the subject with her, if you can, and see if we can be assigned that task to at least come up with preliminary thoughts on it until the city decides it's ready to be higher up on its priority list. Is that something you would be in favor of?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's one of my things. And going back to that park ranger, I saw that there is a BRR that says they're going to have a second park ranger at Wilderness Park, or at least they're talking about it. And I know that we've at times, and dating back to the Recs and Parks Commission, also wanted to have a park ranger. And my question to you, to the question to them, is whether this second person can be used at some of the other parks going around, so that we actually kind of move towards that direction of having another park ranger citywide. That's my last thing. If you can bring that up with them, that would be great.
I want to say that the questions here, we consolidate and we relay those to the departmental liaisons. And so it's not that it doesn't get lost at all. We convey that. So we will convey those questions and queries to them.
Oh, and then I have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, so I know I asked this at the last meeting. Is there any movement on getting, at least on a quarterly basis, some of the other departments in here that we can ask them? I think today we had a lot of community services questions, whether it's Ms. Order or Ms. House or even Mr. Meyer, to come down here and just be a more direct link to them so that we can get the dialogue that's necessary rather than you just being a communication conduit.
We will make that request. I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I will say that given the particular time of the year, it's probably everybody's spread thin with the amount of requests and putting the budget together. So I do believe that in the near future that is more of a possibility. But the request has been made and submitted, and we will follow up, continue to follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything before we? Great. So next meeting of the Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission will be a regular meeting to be held at 6:30 p.m. on July 8th, 2026 in the Redondo Beach Council Chambers at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach. It is the intention of the city of Redondo Beach to comply with the Americans with Disability Act in all respects. If as an attendee or participant at this meeting, you will need special assistance beyond what is normally provided, the city will attempt to accommodate you in every reasonable manner. Please contact the city clerk's office at 310-318-0656 or at least 48 hours prior to the meeting to inform us of your particular needs and to determine if an accommodation is feasible. Please advise us at that time if you will need accommodation to attend or participate in meetings on a regular basis, and an agenda packet is available 24/7 at the city's website, www.redondo.org, under the city clerk. So with that, I am adjourning this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.